Okay, so we are in Visual Studio Code and we are going to implement our figure which we drew using the for loop. So we started by introducing a variable that we called rows. We called it rows and we said rows equal to 5, and then we go on to introduce our for loop. We say for I in, we are using ranges, for I in range starting from 1, and our range has to be we're going to so our range is going to be since we are using ranges and we want the rows to be 5, we are going to put here the rows, but we are going to go on and add 1. So why we add 1 here is because for ranges, when you say range 5, okay, we would have put 5 here, but since we introduced a variable here called rows and it is equal to 5, that's why we go on to put rows here. So this is the same as putting 5 here. Okay, so this is the same as the range of 5 beginning from 1, but since we want 5 to be included in our final results, that's why we add 1, because if we are to leave it to 5, it means that the rows will be 4. Because remember, for ranges, if you say range 5, if it was range 5, okay, so the range of 5 is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the range of 5 is 4. So since we want this 5 to be included in our result, that's why we add this 1 here. So in actual sense, it is like this is the range of 6 but beginning from 1. So we explained this first number here, it is the start value, and by default the ranges are incremented by 1. Okay, so so that is it there. So we go on to introduce another loop here. So let's go on and introduce another for loop. So we say for, and this time we are going to use another variable we call j. So for j in the range, this time I. So for j in range I, okay, so for j in range I. So before we do that, let us first print our I here. So if we say that for I in range of this, let us first see the result here. If we say for I in this range, let us first print I and we see our result. So if you are to print I at this time, you are going to see that we are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, and these are the rows that we want. So if we had removed this one, if we did not add 1, you will see that the rows will be 4. So if we print our I here, you will see that it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. It will stop on 4. That's why we go on here to add a 1 such that we can run from 1 to 5. Okay, I hope we have explained our addition of 1 here. So let us remove I, let us remove this and introduce our inner for loop. So we say for j in range, I. So we say for j in range I, at this time instead of okay, let us first try and print j. For j in range I, let us print j and we see. So if we say for j in range I, so if we say that for j in range I, if we say for j in range I, what do we mean? Now range I, remember here we said for I in range of this. You remember we got our results when we printed I, we got 1 to 5. So if we say that for j in range I, it is the same as saying for j in the range of 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 5. So if we say for j in range I, is the same, because these are, because if we are to print I will print this will be the outcome for I. So now at this time we are saying for j in range I, that means that we are going to get all the ranges of these particular numbers here. So if we say for j in range I, what would that be? Remember, so if we are to print out the range of 1, remember we said by default a range begins from 0 and it begins from 0 and it increments by 1, but it does not include that number. So if we are to get the range of 1, so the range of 1 would be 0, okay, and the range of 2 would be 0, 1, because range begins from 0 and it does not include that number. So the range of 3 would be 0. Okay, let's continue. Sorry for that. I was explaining here this part here. Remember we are in Visual Studio Code. So I was explaining that okay, so we are looking at the ranges of I of each of the elements in I. Remember when we printed I, these were the figures that we printed. So this is the range, this is our range here. So for I in range of this, so if we are to print I, it will print 1 to 5. And so in our next loop, which is the inner loop, we are introducing another variable called j, and we are saying for j in range I. So if we are, so for j in range I means we are looking at the ranges of particular numbers. So the range of 1 is 0, the range of 2 is 0, 1, the range of 3 is 0, 1, 2, the range of 4 will be 0 to 3. It will be 0, 1, 2, and 3. And also it will apply to the range of 5. Okay, so we can go ahead and print. Let us first try to print j. So if at this point we print j, let's say print j, and we see the result. So if we print j, you will see that these will be the ranges. Okay, because the program prints them in this way, in a straight line, because for this, if you put a print statement, for every print statement, after every print statement, there is the program prints the new line. So each iteration is printed on a new line. That's why you see that it is 0, 0. So these figures go they go downwards. So if we want to, so if for example we wanted to print them to print each iteration on a new line, we would introduce something like this inside this print statement. We would say print j, comma, and we would introduce this end. So we would say end equals, and we give it just this space. So we would say print j, and we would say end equals, this is an empty space here. So this will remove the new line, which is by default. So at the end of each print statement, there is something like this, which by default there's something like this, which makes the next iteration to be put on the next line. So if we introduce end equals this, it means we have removed that default of printing on a new line. And so if we try out this, so if we are to try out, if we say end, so you will see that now these you will see that they will be printed on the same line. So they will be printed on the same line, okay? But still, we don't want them to be printed on the same line. So what we are going to do is we are going to come here and we are going to introduce another print. So we are going to introduce another print statement. This orders the program to print the next iteration on a new line. After printing the first outcome, it will end, and it will go on to print the next iteration on a new line. So if I can show it practically here, remember we said that we are printing, so for j in range I, print j. So actually we are printing the ranges of the other numbers that we looked at. So these numbers, we looked at them, the program has printed them, but now we want to determine the order in which they are printed. So that's why we are ordering the program to print j, but after printing the first outcome, it is going to end, okay, such that we want to avoid the program to print, the program to print these outcomes on the same line, like going down, okay? So we are going to say print j, but after you print the first j, the first outcome of j, you end, the program will end, and after it ends, it puts an empty space, and then it will not continue on this line, and then it will go on to print the next outcome on the next line. And so if we look at this now, it will let us first see the outcome. So you will see that j has been printed. So this is what it has printed. So you will see that j has been printed like this. So these are the ranges now of our I. These are the ranges of our I as we looked at them. If we are to remind ourselves, this is how the range, because for j in range I, so I was 1, 2, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the ranges of these numbers, the range of 1 is 0, okay? The range of 2 is 0. The range of 1 is here, it is 0. Okay, the range of 1 is 0. Okay, the range of 1, so we can see that the range of 1, we had 1, 2, 3 up to 5. So we can see here that the range of 1 is 0, the range of 2 is 0, 1, the range of 3 is 0, 1, 2, the range of 4 is 0, 1, 2, 3, and the range of 5 is this. Okay, so now instead of printing, so here we say for j in range I, print j. Okay, so instead of printing these numbers as you see here, we are going to replace our j. We are going to replace our j with our star. Okay, but this star is it is a character, so we are going to put it in double quotes and we shall say star. So if we are to print star for each outcome, this is how this is going to be. This is how we are going to print our figure. You can see the figure is just like this. So we can also, if you want to increase the space here, because remember this end equals this, this means that there is a space, there is just an empty space here. So whatever you put in between this empty space will also appear in between these stars. So let us, for example, try to put this, and if we are to play, you will see that this is the outcome here. That is our figure there. So that is the explanation there. I hope we can still go along as we learn Python. Thank you.